Order at 4:10. Ms. Vasquez, can you do our convocation?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the gifts that you bring us. We thank you for our Cherokee people that we serve, and we ask for your guidance in our thoughts and our actions and our words. And bless us all, everyone that's in this room, and all those who are working to help our citizens. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Sheila, can you do the roll call? Honey?
Here. Bill English.
Honey.
Boston.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Honey.
Sean Crittenden.
Honey.
Mike Dobbins. Wanda Hatfield.
Honey?
Rick Stewart.
Here.
Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw. Honey. Leo Smith.
Here.
Denise Taylor. Here. Victoria Vesquez. David Wilkinson.
Honey.
Ryan Warner.
I'd like to ask for approval of minutes.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
On reports, Marcia Lamb.
Afternoon. I'll just open it up for any questions. I know you've had a long day. So.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Marcia, could you tell me about our nutrition services and the meals that we serve out in the districts? How many?
Nutrition services. We have centers all over the 14 counties. I think there's 14 if I remember right.
Can you tell me in particular about the home delivered meals? How many of those sites deliver meals to the homes?
They all have that capacity, but we try to limit it to homebound. You know, we can't just because they don't want to come in, but we'll look at it.
What must one go through to get services delivered to one's home?
They usually have to have a medical reason that they can't come in, or they could not have transportation to come in. You know, there's different criteria for that.
Okay, so someone who's had a stroke and is homebound and
I
unable
would
to
think
drive,
so,
they
yes.
would be eligible.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me, who do they need to contact to make sure that happens?
Probably that center.
That
The center that they would normally go to in that area and ask for someone to speak to for the home delivery. Leah Duncan is the manager over all of those.
Who is again, please?
Leah Duncan.
Leah Duncan.
Mhm.
Okay. And next question. If someone had someone, say you were sick today, and you wanted someone to pick up your meal and bring to you, so you have a good meal, would they be allowed to do that?
I don't know the answer directly on that because you're going to run into a whole lot of problems. You would have to really have some verification that that person's going to get that meal. We don't want just anyone picking it up.
So you don't let your son or daughter pick up those meals?
Yeah, I mean, we would probably have to visit with them and say, are you authorizing them to pick it up? I'm sure there's paperwork involved in that.
Okay, and tell me about the order of eating these meals. Where in the food chain are there guests allowed, or if a family member brings someone, are they allowed to eat?
Usually they pay a fee for that if they're not a regular member of the community, or if they are not, like sometimes they'll bring their grandkids, you know, and it's a small fee.
Okay, when you say a regular member of the community, so you have to register ahead of time as a member of that community?
Yeah, because they have to plan their food. They have to
Okay.
plan their meals.
And can you tell me in the chain of command, at what point do the people who are employees of Cherokee Nation working there serving that, at what point do they eat?
Leah Duncan would be the first contact, Jennifer Kirby would be the next, and I would be the last.
No, I mean the employees serving the meal, do they get to sit down and eat as well?
Yes. I would think so. If you, maybe we could discuss that later after the meeting.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Some
Thanks.
specifics.
Well, Sean Crittenden.
Marcia, how many human services do we have offices in the 14 county?
How many offices? Evan, Delaware, Sequoia, I'd say 14. That's not true. I would say we have 10 offices, sub-offices.
Yeah, Marcy, I mean, we talk all the time on the phone, so I never point fingers, but now, is it, do most of those have 2 advocates?
They have a elder advocate, a community advocate, and a regular family advocate. The community advocate does not sit in the office. They're out in the community.
Now mine at Stillwell, if I'm understanding, is kind of plays both roles.
I'm sorry.
The one at Stillwell is the visitor and the one that stays, right?
She is the family advocate, yes.
Well, Marsh, and I know this ain't just your call, but by golly, we need another one at Stillwell too. There's a lot of folks, you do what you can do, but man, I've been begging for this. I think the first year I voted no on the budget, and there's a big thing on my mind. By golly, Stillwell needs another advocate because, boy, we got people coming in there. I know everybody here is trying to, you know, better the services, better the education, better all of these things, but, boy, don't forget about me when it comes time to throwing us another one to catch up with the others. And the home health, the food, and I'm not pointing at Marcia here, but man, it sounds hard to get, if you're an elder, to get food delivered to your house. They have to apply and ask why do you need this delivered to your house? And it sounds like a process that Marcia didn't invent, but the perfect analogy I'm thinking of is some of those absentee processes that we need to look up in the future, because it ain't that hard. And, you know, an elder needing food, so and I know a lot of us are going to look into that pretty quick, you know, try to get something done. But that's the kind of things that really get me. And it's not Marcia Lamb's fault, but she was asking about an elder needed food delivered. Man, that sounded like a process. That absentee process, by golly, just stay right there. But anyway, that just perfect analogy hit me, and I wasn't aimed at you, Marcia, but on the advocate thing, boy, I sure.
John, let me address that. The elders, we try to keep them as active as we can. And they come in and they socialize. That's very important for elders to be around people and to talk and to socialize.
I understand.
Most of them that come in enjoy that. Some of the centers are more active than the others. They have, they don't just come and eat. They socialize. They play bingo. They play cards.
Shoot, I love those places. They pool and stuff. But
right.
Like I said, I wasn't directing that at you, but I thought, wow, it wasn't your rule. But, you know, at least as easy as other things to do. But that's what I was getting at. Thank you.
Junior?
Well, the services I've had is at these centers, if Helen's sick, all these other people know, and they're very good, the ones I'm acquainted with, will make sure their seniors get fed. They'll take it to them. And if it's really not that hard, or at least down there where we're at, for them, they take care of their own because they know each other. So and then when they bring their guests, there's always a box set there, and they put money in that box. Yeah, so it's really not that hard. It's a good system.
There's some neat little family organization.
But they'll take care of them elders down there.
Thank you.
Just an observation.
Mary Shaw.
I'm sorry, I think I just found my answer.
Good.
I appreciate it.
All right. Wanda.
It says Human Services, number of employees, 266, number of vacancies. Does that mean people, those vacancies, that people could go to your department and get a job?
They don't come to my office, they come to Human Services.
But I'm just saying, your department has 31 vacancies?
Yes, that means it's already, if there's a vacancy that shows there, that means it's already been budgeted and someone has left that position.
Do you actively recruit or do we just assume people are out, they might read the newspaper, they might go online or to find out about these jobs.
The
That's a lot of
system
jobs.
is that HR sends us a panel. And we, as soon as we get that panel, then we interview, and then we make a selection. Usually we select number 1 and number 2, so we can at least already have those in the system. You know, you'll have to ask the other questions from HR. But
Well, I don't need anything specifically. I looked at that and I was like, vacancy means vacancy.
Yes,
I mean, that's what
yes,
I assumed.
exactly.
And that's, we have a considerable amount of openings, so do you put any of that kind of information on Facebook? Because I on Facebook, I share a lot of
no.
subjects out of, you know, that are from Cherokee Nation or from is that shared with? No, okay, all right, thank you. Well,
Should be on our website, and that's HR handling that, is that correct?
I'm sorry, Joe.
I said that should be HR's. They should be putting that on our website.
Yes, yeah, it's those positions are advertised on the
they are, okay.
website,
I
yeah,
mean, that just seemed like
yeah.
a great opportunity for lots of
Okay.
people. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? I will say that the advocate that I'm using now up in my country comes over from Veneta, and I'm not going to name names, but she does a good job. But we're short an advocate. I don't know, Buell, do you have one? All right, nope. So some of these areas are short an advocate, and we'd love to have one. So just throwing that at you.
You've trained her well, Dick.
Well, yeah, she does. She answers the phone and does her job, and I'm proud of her. So I just wished I could move her to know what, you know. So. Yes, Keith.
How many are based out of Catoosa?
How many what?
Catoosa, I know there's Levi.
There's Levi and Jacqueline Holland.
Okay, I thought so. Thank you. They're very good, thank you.
They are.
There's 20 in the child care.
Yes, sir, Mike.
We have two at J.
Yes,
That's Juanita
community
and-
advocate and,
Juanita and Cindy.
yes,
Okay. And you know, they're gosh, they're very busy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. There's always one in the office, but gosh, the other one's always out in the field.
yeah. And that's why, that was the whole intention. They
Yeah,
have
it's
to be out in the
difficult to get a
field.
hold of that one because she's
Yeah.
always in the field. It's crazy.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
I can't imagine. Does Stillwell have the same clientele as my county or our district, 9? Jay?
They have an advocate, they have one out in the field and they have one in
Oh,
the
they have
store.
one just like
Yeah.
we do? Okay.
They're just not visible.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mike. And Sean Crittenden.
Yes, sir. And, you know, I would support any counselor that would want another one or get one. I would support that all day long. What I'm hearing is, you know, 2 at Catoosa and, you know, and 2 here and there. And I think we really need another one down there in my neck of the woods. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
I understand. Anyone else? Thank you, Marcia. Appreciate you. See Martha Ketcher.
She's hiding behind
Oh,
the
yeah,
wall.
she's back behind there. So.
You have my reports before you. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Ketcher?
If not, I do have an announcement that many of you may know. Robert Sonny Mouse was a former employee, passed, and his services will be Wednesday with Reed and Culver. Also, we'll have a viewing and a visitation tomorrow, starting at 1 to 6. But the services are scheduled for Wednesday at 2. He was a former employee, worked 40 years with the Cherokee Nation in Office
At the,
Environmental Health.
At the lumberyard, didn't he? Talco lumberyard in the rental department?
No, it's his brother that worked at Talco Lumber.
Oh, it's his brother?
Yeah, Robert worked for us for 40 years.
Okay.
Okay. Hearing
Any
none,
questions?
maybe you can get out of here early today.
Thank you. Gary's trying to come in early. Gary Cooper.
Hey, Martha said she was going to try to get y'all out here early, so I'll kind of keep on with that. Just a couple of things that I wanted to mention is our college housing program. Applications for this semester that period is still open till Friday, so if you happen to have someone who needs or who's looking for that, let us know. All of the continuing students, they automatically get, they just have to update their packet, but we do have some slots available for new students if someone didn't get it or if someone's just starting this spring. So just wanted to mention that. Also, I wanted to mention on the emergency access funds that y'all allocate each year to us. I think there's been some questions on because of the program that was put into. It appeared somewhat that they might be restricted to elderly, handicapped, or disabled. I don't think that was ever your all's intention, and it never, to my knowledge, it never was. I think it was just kind of put into a line item that included that, but it wasn't necessarily clear. After looking at it, Sean, Councilman Crittenden asked us to look at it. I looked at it along with Secretary of State and some other folks, and I think that we are all comfortable enough with that we can go ahead with what we've got and make that work for what your all's intent was, because I don't think anyone had the intent that those funds were to be restricted. They were just open to a Cherokee citizen who otherwise couldn't receive housing services through one of our housing programs. So I think we found a way to work through that, and that's what we will do. I know that there's a couple of you that we have projects going on for, and we're getting those done. I think we're finishing up one up your way. If y'all have something, or if one comes up, usually all I need is a name and telephone number. Send that over to me, and we'll start processing it for you. See what we need to do. Other than that, I think that's all I've got, unless anyone has any questions.
Sean,
Real quick.
Yes,
thank
sir.
You for
You bet.
some eyes looking at that. And
Thank you for bringing it to my attention,
the
too.
person is 57 years old, and I've asked around about the magic number for an elder, and I asked some pretty old folks, and really couldn't pinpoint elder is this age, you know.
For housing programs, it's 62.
62.
62 is that magic number.
62
Yep.
for housing.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, so thank you for looking into that.
Yep.
And on your policy, do you have a policy for that? I'm sure you do, that you could share with me, just because
Yeah, it's
kind of changed over the years, and I'm appreciative of it because it helps.
Yeah,
But I would like to look at the most recent, because it was initially quite a bit more money than that.
No.
Yes, it was. I authored it. Todd Hember come to Greasy School. Bill John Baker come to Greasy School. I think I called a lot of people on this, and it was initially more money.
Now, ever since it's been a housing authority, it's been the same amount.
But yeah, I'd just like to see kind of the direction that it's kind of.
Now, all I would have is a current policy. I wouldn't have any of the tribal ones.
If there's any changes that we might want to make to it later, we'd know kind of where we're starting. But
now,
make no mistake, I appreciate that, because this lady that wasn't quite 62 and she needed some help.
And basically, all it says is that it's allocated, and it's kind of funny because a lot of times we talk about pots of money, but I've never actually seen it in a budget narrative except for that one. It actually uses the word pots. They're allocated by pots. But I mean, that's really it. It's allocated by district, and it's for someone who cannot otherwise or is not eligible to receive housing services through a housing authority program. And that's really, really it. The problem was it was lumped into a bigger deal that had just elderly, handicapped, and disabled. So I think we found a workaround with that. But really, that is the only policy. Is it is allocated by POTS. They've been denied services. You say that we want to provide that. You give me approval to use your money. I give you an estimate of what it's going to cost, and then we charge that money to your allocated pot.
Well, now, you know, if somebody was still around next time, I guess I'm getting moved out here. But I would really. I mean, I use the heck out of that emergency money, so if some of you guys can have in mind, man, I'd like to up that dude a little bit. We can look at that later. But I'm just kidding. Gail said she used mine for an example for the new one. Anyway, thank you, Gary. Hey, oh, Gary, by golly. He'll answer his phone.
I will.
Hey, in this business right here, we might be in a fist fight tomorrow.
Ask the gentleman sitting next to you at about 2 o'clock once, about a quarter to 2 one Sunday morning.
But no,
yeah.
Like I said,
yeah.
This changes every day. We might be hooked up tomorrow.
We could be.
But I appreciate him calling me back for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the thing is if we will try to figure out a way to do it. If we can't, if it's legal and if we can find a way to do it within the confines of how it's written, we certainly will. And I'm more than willing to do anything we can. And if we can't do it, I'm going to tell you that there ain't no way. But
emergency money, it will all be good. Thank you. Sorry.
And Victoria, can you get us out of this?
I just would like to talk
Yes,
about a specific person after this meeting.
I'll stick around to visit with you.
And Keith Austin.
Speaking of 1:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock or whatever it was.
That beats my record.
Yeah, it does, by just a little bit.
The apartment complex in Claremore, the elevator, the old elevator. Motor froze up and created a little fire in the.
We know the sprinklers work.
So we know the sprinkler system works, and we also know how grateful we are that there's a brand new elevator in the building.
Absolutely.
So that the residents there are served. But it was not pleasant to get that call at that time of night and have residents actually panicking. But Gary did answer his phone, and it took, probably 30 minutes for him to actually have resources actually head in that direction to deal with the problem. And they were dealing with the problem. By the time people were getting out of bed, they were substantially dealing with the problem already. So your team deserves great credit because I'm quite certain none of them want to do that over the Christmas break.
No. And I'm grateful. And I will tell you, I have a great team that works for us, whether it's out in the field in a maintenance position or in the office. I mean, we've got some really great employees who work for us, and they're always willing to help. I mean, I've had, folks who, they will call and they'll be like, hey, we're out here on this job and we're trying to get water back on to, this elder person. Do you care if we stay, we're just going to be late getting back in. No, if you can, please do so. Get it back on.
Well, their efforts do not go unnoticed.
Yeah.
At Earl Rogers Apartments on Mark Longman.
We appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Thank you all.
Gary.
Gary, you got a minute?
Michael Lynn or whoever, yeah, there he is. Roads and Transportation. Everybody's hiding behind Rob Doherty for some reason.
I figured out it's a lot quieter on the back row.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, you have a copy of our report for the month, and I'll be glad to answer any questions about it. We have been doing a lot of utility relocation, as you can see by the report, and we're also trying to clean up some loose ends and tie up some loose ends on some right-of-way restricted parcels on some projects before we can get those out to construction. But you do have a copy of that, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Janice?
Two questions regarding the transit system. So the two routes with no information are the same two routes that the new vans were going to. I'm assuming there's a relationship there. That's why there's no information on those two routes.
I'll have to find out why there's no rides reported for those two routes. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't think it has anything to do with the new vans going there.
Okay. Well,
But
it's just an interesting coincidence.
Yeah, I think
that
it was.
Those two routes were the ones with no information. Okay, so the only route that goes to West Salem Springs is from Stillwell. And I'm wondering how you determine, like, if another area had some interest in people working at that, when do you evaluate the routes to be sure that they're working to the best of the citizens and might consider tweaking the schedule?
We look at ridership reports every month, so I guess you could say we evaluate on an ongoing basis. But as far as other needs out there, we want to know that anytime. For instance, a Stillwell to West Siloam came about through some conversations with Diane Kelly, and that's kind of how that project.
It's pretty big. There's a lot of people. In fact, it may be the biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably is next to Tahlequah-Catoosa. Yeah. So that that's how that route came about. If there's others that we need to know about, or other places that folks are heavily traveling to for employment or things of that need or that type, then we want to know about that. So yeah, I'd be glad to visit with you.
Okay. All right. Those are my only two. If you could find out about those two routes, because those are both mine.
Certainly will.
That, don't have any info. I appreciate it. Thank
Yes,
you.
certainly will. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sean Crittenden?
Mike, I should know this, but like the route to Siloam, now is it just a day route? Is there
Morning and evening.
morning and evening?
It's for employment there
Right.
at the casino
So
from
that
Stillwell.
covers the day route
Yes.
and the evening route, then the
Yeah.
overnight guy can catch the day route.
I'd have to look at the schedule to tell you exactly what times, but I think it's twice a day. But I don't know what times a day exactly. But it's set to coincide with the schedule, the work schedule there at West
That could
Siloam.
potentially take care of those overnight folks too, right?
It could, yes, it sure could.
Thank you.
Harley?
Yeah, Michael, we were talking with the realty person today about, I noticed there were 6 feeded trust applications that they're working on. And I noticed there was 2 applications that were removing trust or restricted land. What I was getting at is, I know in my district, we haven't built a road up there in about 10 years, our road. And I'm wondering when the priority system is going to be reset and taking a look at that again. Because my district has quite a few Cherokees up there, and we only had one road, and that's been 10 years ago. I noticed my fellow council district down in Adair County, they're still getting a lot of roads, and I understand the reasoning for it, but have we taken a look at the priority system on prioritizing roads in the last 5 years, 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah, we have. I'm not sure exactly when we last added roads to the priority, to our construction priority list. But I know as funds become available, through our federal funds become available, and if they're not assigned to a project, if we've got excess funds that aren't obligated to a project, that's when we go and add roads to the construction priority list, so that we can assign dollars to those.
Do you know when the next priority list will be submitted?
No, I don't. Not until we know exactly what our allocation it will be this year. With construction prices going up and the dollars that come in annually, those dollars are absorbed by the existing projects that we have on the book.
What about, can you furnish or can you give me a copy of the rating system? I'd like to take a look at that again, and it may be the same as we'd had, but I'd like to look at the rating system on the thing.
Okay.
Because I know there in Delaware County, we have put a lot of asphalt roads into our reserve around Kindleman. And I know that's the reason why we're doing it. But I also know Adair County, they get a lot of roads because of the priority list or the rating criteria. But what I just said, it's been 10 years ago in my district since we've got a road up there, so I'm wanting a road up there.
Okay.
So, I'd like to take a look at the rating system and see if we can't make some.
Okay, I'll get you a
Because
copy.
things have changed since 1996, 1995, when you took over the program. That's been years ago. Take a look at
Okay, I'll get you a copy of
that.
it.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Mike?
Have you been contacted any about the Pine Bridge yet?
No, sir.
Okay.
I have not.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Commerce, Housing, Hannah Knight.
Good afternoon.
Moon.
You have a copy of my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I did want to just let you know that tomorrow people can start making appointments for the VITA program for tax return preparation for low-income people. And also I wanted to let you know that we wrote and received a Ross grant that will allow us to get 3 grant-funded employees that will actually house at the Housing Authority. We'll have one in Jay, Tahlequah, and Claremore, who will be working with Housing Authority residents on financial education and trying to connect them with different kinds of resources. And then the last thing is I just wanted to make sure that if you have any constituents call about delays in any kind of HUD funding, the shutdown is affecting mortgages as well. If they haven't received a loan number and they're getting an FHA-backed mortgage or a 184 mortgage, then their process is delayed. If they already received a loan number, it'll move forward at the regular rate. So, other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Sean Crittenden.
And on some of these employees, this might not even be a possibility, but more and more, I'm running into folks needing housing. And I've been referring them to Section 184, Bank First and Bank Second in Tahlequah is what I was told. And would it even be possible to house someone that could help them get through that process? Because I've sent a lot of them to different places, and a lot of people don't know about that great program that could, potentially lighten the Housing Authority's load. But what do you see that?
We could look at that. We talked to Bank 2 once about trying to bring someone in, and then they started doing a lot of online applications. But if people are looking for lenders, we can, our housing counselors, our self-sufficiency counselors can visit with them.
And they can walk them through that.
They could try to help them walk them through the process.
And I just found out about it a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, their ears perk up, and it's great. I mean, you build, buy, remodel.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem they're running into is just not a whole lot of people know a whole lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can send them to you?
You can, because they actually, all they need to know about is the bank mortgage. And then the 184 program behind the scenes is the guarantor of the mortgage. So, but you can send them to us, and we can try to help them through the process. And they may be MAP candidates as well, if they're looking to purchase homes.
Thank you.
But if you have them call me directly, that would help. That way, I can get them to the right person.
All right. Thank you.
Keith Austin.
Is the 184 still available for refis as well?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
And then Child Welfare, Nikki Baker Lamore. Afternoon.
Submitted my report. Business as usual, but one statistic I thought I'd share that you might find interesting was the amount of children that we currently have in custody. The tribe has 107. We're looking at removing 5 today just due to a set of circumstances, which will bring us up to 112 in tribal custody. And just to back up for numbers, in 2016, we just had to remove 29 that year. In 2017, we had to remove 52. And in 2018, we had to remove 64. So as you can tell, numbers continue to grow due to meth and opioid use. That's the main types of removals that we have from W.W. Hastings or from Claremore Indian. Of course, whenever there's information that comes in, it goes from my staff to their manager, to me, to the AG's office, and then to a tribal judge. So lots of checks and balances. We do not remove children unless it meets a very high standard that the child would suffer serious emotional harm if remaining in that home. But anyway, just a kind of sad fact, but as we come to the year end, I thought you might want to know those numbers, but just know that my office is always hopping. I'm currently trying to do a reorganization because removing that many more children, I need that many more staff, that many more foster homes, that many more, things that we need in order to care for that many more children. So again, not to bombard you with facts as I sit down, but I felt like that was something that you might be interested in knowing.
Okay. Wanda?
Nikki,
Yes, ma'am.
I know you probably work with Human Services. I mean, do you all share information? I mean, or how closely do you work with Human Services?
Sure.
Maybe I should say.
In regards to One Fire, we work pretty closely because they have an elders advocates, and of course, a lot of their advocates can help our women where our grant won't cover. So in regards to One Fire, we work pretty closely, and we have a good relationship. In regards to Indian child welfare, that information is confidential to a higher degree, whereas the women, we could say, if you want help, go out here to Human Services. With children, we can't call and say, hi, by the way, I have all these children into custody. However, if there are ever things that we can help tell the family about at Human Services, we absolutely do. So I hope I answered your question, but.
I lost my train of thought. We don't have a women's resource center.
Like a shelter?
Women, yeah, shelter. Do we?
We have Helping Crisis, and what works well with that is our grant doesn't cover a shelter, but they have that, and so we kind of work with each other well, because what I don't have, they do, and then vice versa. So we work pretty well together.
I appreciate that. I was just intertribal. The Chickasaw Nation was talking about their family resource center, or I think it should be. I should be more specific, but I think, and I was very, I thought, that's something maybe we could talk about in the future. That I don't know if we can even talk about it, but anyway,
sure.
I was impressed, and I thought that. Be something to look at.
Absolutely. The last I checked into that, the grant that they used, I think Cherokee Nation used for a different purpose.
Okay.
And so that was kind of my last stop whenever the grant I was going after was already being used. But that doesn't mean that there might not have been a few that have come to fruition since the last I checked. So I never want to say never, but I did look into that, and that was kind of why we don't at this point.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Do all the tribes have the same grandparent visitation rules and all that? Do they all have it the same way?
I wouldn't say they have the same rules, but as far as grandparents having grandparent rights, the law is the same across all districts. But in regards to like visitations, for instance, at Cherokee Nation, we try to concentrate on reuniting the child with their parents, but we do allow for close family members such as grandparents, or if there was a really close aunt or uncle, to come in the last 15 minutes of the visit. So we do try to keep those relationships going, but our main focus has to be that parent and that child and their bonding. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking at, whether it be through guardianships, through the law and grandparental rights there, or through visitations within an Indian Child Welfare office. So I kind of answered it 3 different ways, but.
Is there any tribes that allow the grandparents to see them for an hour?
I would have to call and ask. Again, yes, that's going to be up to the individual tribe. And like I said, with us having 112 in custody, we might not allow as much visit, whereas a tribe that just has 10 in custody, maybe the room's not being used as frequently. Again, I'm just throwing all kinds of things out at you, but they could maybe allow for longer than what we do. But if there's ever an issue, you can of course call me. Be glad to look into it, and if circumstances allow, we absolutely will always do our best.
I know there's some that get to see them for an hour, because I had some people calling and ask why Cherokees couldn't.
Sure.
But then they were getting a deal, so I just, okay.
Usually the court orders an hour visitation, and so again, we just try to say if the majority goes to the parent, 15 minutes, grandparents come in, love and hug on them. It tends to work. Be honest with you, I have never heard a complaint, but that doesn't mean that there might not be one I don't know of, and be glad to look into it if there is.
Okay. Thank you.
sometimes when I hear of other tribes doing, a pretty good job, I usually look at them and they've got their own good resources, and they're a 10,000 member tribe. And so we kind of understand where we're at. Thank you.
You have a good afternoon.
Community and Cultural Outreach, Rob Daugherty. Come on down.
Yeah. You have your report, our report in front of you. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Rob, outstanding report, by the way. Question, you're having an open house tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that from 10 to 2?
10 to 2.
We couldn't talk into 12 to 4, could we? I think we're all going to be here at 5. Are there any grants available for the at-large communities?
The one that's being initiated, and that's for the at-large community, is a laptop and Kevin Stretch, and that's the one that we have right now, and that's going to keep everybody pretty much, because some of the groups are so scattered out there, they're not really one unified group in terms of like we would be in this community. But they have to come so far, so we thought that would be a good way of trying to get them in constant contact with us and so forth. And that's.
And when will they receive the laptop, each community?
We have already, I think we've already purchased the laptops, and another thing we need to do is we want to make sure we have the software in them, because they can't, a lot of them can't afford them. So that's being initiated as we speak.
Okay, and when those are delivered, could you let Counselor Hatfield and myself know?
Absolutely.
What of it?
I will.
Yes, ma'am.
I like your bulletin, not your bulletin, but your flyer or whatever.
The most recent?
Yeah, the newsletter, yeah.
That was again, an excellent staff. We wanted something to kind of highlight some of our communities at large and as well as local, and then just a quarterly publication. That was our initial one, the last one. Thank you very much, and I'll be sure and relay that.
Is there any way that the at-large counselors could get a corner?
I would think so.
No, just our information, that kind of thing. That would be helpful, because you're a main, Mary and I work closely with your group, and we depend on you. So is that possible? Is that asking too much, maybe, or at least think about?
Let's look in, but I don't see a reason why you couldn't have that.
Just a little bit. Thank you.
Then highlight, announcements and so forth, because a lot of times it is hard to communicate with our at-large a lot of times because of the distance involved and so forth.
And I realize
we'll take a look at it.
I realize that, the Fortune County area, you're very busy with the groups, and they, deserve the information, but that would be very helpful for us.
Okay.
Sometimes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chairman.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Okay, tomorrow from 10 to 2, we have open house out in the North Acreage out here. So y'all come and eat and tour the facility, and we might have some food there.
What time's that food take place, Rob?
Oh, just as soon as you walk in, it'll be ready.
Okay.
Football or baseball?
I'm sorry?
Football or baseball?
Well, I got to go with baseball. You know that. Kyler Murray is making a mistake, so. But no.
Okay, Rob,
Yes.
real quick, tell us again where your office is located so we can be there.
Okay, go out by the airport on the loop, on 80 or 51 loop, I guess they call it. Then go straight west like you're going to Hulbert, like you're going toward Council Jordan's place.
Headed toward Holbrook.
And it's about 2 miles, and it'll be on the right, big red and white sign out there. It's the old C&B building, or C&E building, by the nursery.
Oh, the nursery?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Have you guys taken that building over then? Is that?
Well, we've occupied that here for a while, and we're still working the bugs out, but yes, that's where we're at.
Thank you. Oh, where are we at? Veteran Center, Barbara Foreman.
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
You have my report for the Veteran Center. Do y'all have any questions?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, Barbara, our honor guard, color guard,
Yes.
sometimes they travel throughout. I mean, anytime they're needed, I mean, they're everywhere. They really serve the Cherokee people. And, but there's not a process for them to really go and advocate for them. You know, we give them money at the beginning of the year in our budget, but there's nobody to oversee them and manage them. And what I'd like to recommend to the committee here is putting them under you, so they'd have a place to go and have you help them with their paperwork if they need some, just to request for budget, if that's okay. That's a recommendation I'm going to make to the committee, and of course, it's got to be approved by the executive branch if they would accept that. If that's okay with you.
If the executive branch agrees.
Yes, and what we probably need to do, Rob, is have them, when you say have a 501, because I don't think they have a nonprofit status at this point. That'd be something that would need to, they need to set something up like that. They could have a vehicle for contributions as well. Okay, appreciate that. That's just a recommendation.
And we make a lot of referrals to them.
Okay.
A lot of people call our office for
Okay,
them.
that's just a thought. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And so as the body, would we recommend that the speaker run down the dark end of the hall and propose that to
I
the
can.
administration? And
I can. I appreciate that.
I hate to just throw a resolution out there without them being involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
That'd be good.
That okay with y'all? I'd like to see some, okay, thank you.
That'd be good.
And I think I had, Mary, did you, okay.
Hi, Barbara. Barbara, how many veterans are we honoring tonight?
It's down to 14. We had planned for 15, but it'll be 14 tonight.
14 tonight.
I would like to address that
Please.
if I can. Okay, we're doing this as 14 was 15 because we have a backlog actually of our veterans to be honored, and we do have families calling us. Well, I'll just tell you an example. We had one family calling saying that their father, they didn't know if he was going to be around for the next, for the months that he was going to have to wait to be honored. And we do have special circumstances, but if we, see this many veterans and honor this many tonight, it will bring our caseload up to where we kind of need to be. And I know that's a special request of all of you, but there is reasoning behind it. And I appreciate that you have agreed to do so.
Barbara, can you tell me, are these recipients tonight, are they in physical condition to walk down these stairs that are not ADA compliant tonight?
That's a tough question. Most are, because they have come into our Veteran Center. They have come over to the complex today, and I believe the ones that are coming tonight will be able to, but they can't. Some of them have told me they cannot stand very long, so I'm just telling you all that.
Barbara, do you have any suggestions on ways that would improve us honoring our veterans and showing them the respect they deserve than having to be carried up the stairs when they need to leave?
My personal suggestion would be to relook at the building and the council chambers, but that's not, that doesn't fall under me. But we, the handicap access.
Could someone please explain to me why we're not handicapped accessible?
Well, I'll try to, that there, I think if Don Garvin was here, he could probably say it better, but the building was built kind of sort of in stages and with help from, assistance from different companies and groups who were gonna come and help, and I don't I remember when I got here in 2011, that process was already going, and I personally didn't realize it then that it was not ADA, but this thing was about in 3 stages, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, those of you who've been around a while. And so that's why I think it was skipped, and we probably need to go back and correct that. So.
You know,
Correction now,
there
are you
laws.
talking about
I
our
think you're
veterans
talking about two
building or
different
council
buildings.
chambers?
I'm talking about council chambers.
Oh, yeah, well, they were talking
Oh,
about 2
I'm
different
sorry.
things. there.
Yeah.
Council.
The veterans building is,
Right?
they have handicap
Yeah,
residents.
it's,
Yes.
The council chambers, you want to address that, Jody?
We've looked at it and actually had facilities look at it and had contractor come look at it. There's no feasible way to make it ADA compliant because of the steepness there. You'd be out to almost a Speaker Bird for the slope you'd have to have and make, and then you'd have the problems where you're even looking at a temporary deal. The way the step down on each of the seating, you'd have a step up from the seating to get to the ramp, and I mean, it's not really feasible. I mean, you'd have to totally gut the whole room and start from scratch.
And Counselor, what we're going to look at is redo the whole council chamber and take a look, because we need to become compliant.
Yes, we do.
We do, but you know, that building is, how old is that council chamber?
1975.
Yeah,
1975.
70s as well.
But the veterans building is now.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
So we have 2 accesses.
Is that where the meeting is tonight?
No?
No. So we've got 14 veterans who we hope and pray they can have their dignity walking down those steps and up those steps after we have honored them tonight, correct?
Most of them will, because those World War II veterans are some of the toughest people you'll ever be around. When we were giving them a send-off to Washington, D.C., they're all in their late 80s. We asked them if they wanted to be served and how they wanted to be served. They said, "We do not want to be served. We will get up and get our own food." So that's what you have there. They're very proud, and rightly so.
Absolutely.
They'll do the best they can to walk and get up and down those stairs.
Speaker Byrd, can you tell me when we expect this whatever you're calling it, the research into whether or not what we should do with tribal council to make it ADA compliant? How soon will that happen?
We just started discussing this a couple of weeks ago, so we're in the early stages, but it won't take long to do a feasibility study to see how to come in compliance.
I'm so glad to hear it, because I want the utmost respect always paid to our veterans, as I'm sure every council member here does. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if I can interject, we had at one time almost $4 million set aside to build a council house after we moved out of the mold building.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that money went, but some point in time, some council somewhere, somehow is going to have to regenerate that idea of council standing alone and having its own facility. And that's not going to happen this year. And so at some point in time, I don't know who's going to shake their head and agree with that in some administration in the future. But the legislative body is a standalone body. It should be standing alone by itself like we were before. The building that we were in had a lot of problems. And so at some point, I hope that an administration coming in can give a head nod, yes, that we should do that. We built an election commission building at the same location that we used to do. And I'm going to get off my bandstand now. I guess we're on to something with Barbara Foreman. Forgive me, Barbara, for taking your time.
Thank you for answering those questions.
And I had some hands up on this right side. Harley Buzzer.
Yes, I think what Councilor Byrd brought up about our veterans color guard, I don't know if they even have a van to travel to other functions. They may or may not. You know, Barbara, if they do?
I don't know that they do.
But anyway, yes, I think we need to have more support for those people that do the color guards. The other thing is what Councilor Shaw brought up about the council house. And I'm just thinking of what Dick Lay said. We had like $4 million set aside for a council files, which would have taken care of that. So he's right. This is something we need to be thinking about, or somebody needs to be thinking about putting it back on. But Barbara, I got a question for Barbara, and I don't know if this can be done. I've been asking for reports on the number of veterans that use our clinics, and I did get one. It was like a little over 1,000 veterans. And I want it broken down by clinics, how many's at each clinic. But I see on our veterans card, we only have less than 400 that have got the veterans exempt card or the tax card. Is there any way that you can work around to get those people's names? I know how that goes, but I just feel like that we need to do more than what we're doing for the veterans. You're doing a good job over there, and I know it takes a lot of time to get things done, but we're moving at a snail's pace as far as identifying those veterans. So I would support any idea that you can come up with and let us know. If there's something we need to pass legislation to do, and I would be for doing that. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Sheriff.
Yes, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Notice you say Medal of Patriotism is awarded through Medal 15. Explain that.
We have some of the veterans that apply for the Medal of Patriotism, but they can't make it here. They're physically not able, usually. That's the main reason, or they live too far away.
I would like to ask, find out,
Okay.
is there any reason why you couldn't notify us and allow us to deliver those to them that would be within our district? Because as Councilor Shaw was saying, we'd like to bring the full honor to the veterans, and I believe that could give that additional honor to them by being recognized by their local representative. I know when they come here, it gets in the press, and they end up getting a picture in the local papers and all that good stuff. And
yes.
When it's delivered like that, it doesn't end up doing that. So this is.
And you're correct.
Yes. So it would love to be able to make that happen for them if that's something that they're willing to do.
Okay.
Speaking for myself, but I don't think I'm stretching to say wanting to be involved in something like that.
Anyone else?
I'll have one more comment.
Yes, sir.
In the beginning, the reason we started honoring the veterans in the council chambers was because we did not have a veteran center to honor them. Now that we have a veteran center, we continued in the council chambers. So that's going to be a decision of the council. Do you want to continue to do it during the council meeting? Or are we going to have a separate honorary program at the Veterans Building? So that's the decision that we have to make. Right now, I think it works if we could make that ADA compliance, because I think they like to be recognized in front of the council. And that's probably my favorite part anyway of the council meeting, other than trying to take care of our business, helping our people. It's good to see the expression on those veterans' faces that they're finally getting recognized. So that's just, information for the committee here. And at one time, we had $3.5 million for a new council house separate from this building. We took the $3 million and we put it towards the health facilities. Then we took the $500,000 and we used it to renovate what we're in today. So that's an update on how that came about. That's not to say we don't look into, in the near future, renovating the council chambers and having something of our own design there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Where are you at on the bricks? Are you caught up on all your bricks?
Pretty much we are. We have we're waiting on maybe 15 brick right now, and after today we will receive 14 more forms for bricks, so we'll have those. But we're pretty close now.
That's pretty.
They should have those finished. The one that we're waiting on, they should have those finished now, and then we'll turn these in today.
That's pretty time consuming though, isn't it? It takes y'all a while?
No.
Hours? Well,
No, we've caught up the log, and we're pretty close on the time frame.
Yes, ma'am.
If there are existing bricks, and I had a request from a lady, and they were faded, or they had, what do they need to do? Do they just need to get in contact with you, or can I give you the names of the, that need to be replaced, or?
Yes, you can give me the names, but a plan, if you have time to listen to my plan, is that our plan is to go to each. It's set up in quadrants. We have it marked off as quadrants, and so we're going to start with. We're filling up the first quadrant right now with the new bricks, and we'll keep filling that one. But all of the others, we need to start with repair. So we're going to try to do like 20 bricks at a time, and start on repairing, and the ones that we can see, and the ones that we could possibly find paperwork for. If we can't read the brick anymore. But on those families that have concerns, I would like to talk with them. Okay. If you can give me their names and numbers, we'll call them. Okay. Because we want to honor our veterans, and we want to take care of these things for them. And so any of those that any of you receive, please send them to us. We have people coming looking for their bricks. You'll just see people walking around out there. And that's what they're doing, is looking for their bricks. While we were at Intertribal, I talked to a gentleman there that's a tribal member, and he said, I've looked around all over for my brick, and I couldn't find it. And I said, well, if you can't find your brick, let's make it right. So, I took his name and everything, and we've got everything straightened out for him. And he's very happy. So it's just that contact. We need that contact with our veterans. So. But we're going to start the project. We have the funds for it right now, and so we're going to start that pretty soon.
All righty. Thank you, Barbara. Good report.
Okay, now I have something on.
Yes,
you about.
betcha.
Okay. I would like to encourage all of you council to help us look for the World War II veterans and the Korea veterans, so we can try to get some of them on this next flight in September, and it'll be early September. We have to have your help to do that. And so I'm looking to you to help us with that. Right now, on our list of 10, which will change, because I've already been looking at it, we have 1 World War II and 2 Korea. But if you have them in your area and we get their paperwork done and get them honored, you have to be honored to be eligible to go to the warrior flight with the Medal of Patriotism. And so if you get those people to us, and let's get them in there, because we give the priority to those, to the World War II and the Korea. It'd be wonderful if we could have, 10 of them, actually, really. If we could locate those. I know I went to some of the community meetings, and I think there's 3 up in your area, maybe. And we would love to, well, some of them have already went, but those others, we'd love for them to go. And I think it was Warner, where there was a couple there too, EO, the one we had talked about at your event too. We need to get that person too, because he was World War II. So, but I need your help with that.
Barbara, it's just Cherokee, right?
Yes. Yes. And it's, it's a simple application. We'll go through every step with them if they need us to. Okay, so we are going to have our next events this Thursday at 5. We'll have our bingo, and if we want to talk about capacity, our bingo was completely full the last month. Since you're familiar with it, you know that we have the cushion chairs on the side there. Those were full. Everything was full. I'm a little worried about what we're going to do this Thursday night if we're over capacity. So we're coming to that, council, where our events are getting really full.
That's a good thing.
And so we're going to have the next event that I just want to put, give you a notice on is our Valentine's event that we're going to have on February 13th. It's kind of going to be like a little social. And we had one last year, and they had a great time. Our Valentine's for Veterans is, I'm going to put the email out probably in the next couple of days, but that's starting up. And because our deadline will have to be like February the 8th to receive the last ones. And if some of you want to know about what that is where we collect Valentine's to take to all the veteran facilities around the area. I think we've went as far as Tallahena to take some. We take them to the Claremore facility and all the way to Fayetteville for the veterans there. So the children from the schools, adults, our elders, everyone loves to make those Valentines to give to our veterans, and we appreciate it very much. And the veterans love those Valentines too. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there with you too. Okay, I think that is it.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, old business, none pending, new business, none pending. Next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, February 18th at 4.
I've got an announcement.
Yes, sir.
I've worked with Matt Meredith on this, and Lake Region Electric has agreed to defray the members' payments if they show documentation that they have been affected by the shutdown. We've contacted TWPA, but we're not getting no response from them yet.
Oh, that's big. That's good.
Yeah.
Matt Meredith.
All I got.
Good. That's a big deal.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
All we have to do is beef stew.